We were just in Australia talking to Lauren Karan, and now we are back on the plane. Have you ever wondered what education, and more specifically senior year, is like in Ireland? TEDx speaker, award-winning MS coach, and host of the Talk Healing to Me podcast, Karen Dwyer, is here to share with us what her decision day was like, while also helping us gain an Irish perspective to the education system as a whole. And who knows, maybe after listening to this episode, you'll want to study or even move to Ireland. I'm Leah Leverich, a class of 2022 high school graduate exploring every path to success after senior year. Let's expand your mind to what's out there and narrow down your options so you can make a graduation decision with confidence. You're listening to Decision Day.
The Decision Day podcast is brought to you by the Rise and Record event in Nashville, Tennessee. Rise up and share your story through video. Visit riseandrecord.com for more.
Hello, Karen. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. You are so good at this. It is such a joy to be on your podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us. So you are in Dublin, Ireland right now, right?
I'm in Dublin, Ireland right now. Yesterday I was in London, England. Yeah, so there's quite a bit of travel going on, but I am in Dublin, Malahide right now.
Beautiful. Did you grow up there, by the way?
I did, yeah. I'm born and bred in Dublin, and I've lived in a few different places around the world, but I'm like a bit of a boomerang, and I've always come back.
Yeah. So what kind of student were you like in high school, just to go all the way back to the beginning?
Yeah, I think I was a bit of a messer in class. Like I would, probably be joking a little bit. I was never like rowdy or like rude or, troublemaking or anything like that. But like I would end up becoming friends with the teachers and kind of joking with them. I still remember my mom saying this, that when my parents would go to a parent-teacher meeting, that they'd say, "Oh, Karen's a really good student, but she's not reaching her potential. Like she likes to sit and look out the window." And I still do. In fact, one of my most precious times for thinking and creativity is when I'm on an airplane looking out the window. That's when I get really inspired. So if I go back to school, I really enjoyed being in school. I found it quite hard to apply myself to do homework when I was at home, but I still got quite good grades. So I was able to take learning in and do well. Yeah, it was just the homework side of things. If there was no homework, oh my God, school would be just amazing, wouldn't it?
I think you described it perfectly. That's exactly how I felt about it. It was like, I just want to learn there, but do we have to do all this extra stuff to prove that I'm learning? Come on.
Yeah, it's just a memory test, really, in my opinion. Yeah.
Right.
And that's what a lot of education is like these days, because teachers want to get good grades. They want their students to get good grades. But I think the essence of learning and education has been lost in a lot of spaces. I can't, that's a massive sweeping statement, but it's there's just so much pressure and paperwork. And some of my friends are teachers, and they have just got so much admin to do in the background that the art of teaching and that passion and love is quite hard to keep alive all the time.
I'm actually sad to hear you say that, because I was hoping that it would be different over there, and it's not. That feels like how it is as well. So are you familiar with the term decision day? Because I've been asking a few people now, and it seems like it might just be an American thing. Do you know what that is?
I have an idea. I think we have a different version of it here. So let me tell you what I think it is.
Yeah.
So it's when you get your results of your final exams in school and you're deciding what college you're going to go to, or if you are going to college, or what path you're going to take. And there's a cutoff point.
Kind of. I mean, that's an interesting interpretation. How I saw it and how I felt it was like a certain day at school where everyone showed up in the t-shirt of what college they're going to. And it felt very isolating for someone like me who didn't want to go to college. And it was like, all right, I'm just left out of this entire celebration of people who've decided. And it was even hard for people who haven't decided yet. I don't even remember when it happened because I hated it so much. But yeah, it's like the day where everyone celebrates their decision, but it's more normalized to be just college versus all of the other options.
Oh, that sounds nightmarish. Like I don't know. I think that's a bit showy, or I don't know. I don't like the idea of that.
If you go to college, you want to celebrate that, but also there's so many other things that people are doing that we also should be celebrating. So that's why I called this Decision Day. And it's crazy that it's just a thing over here. It seems like so far with my journey.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot of pressure for anyone. Up until probably 7, 8 years ago, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I'm 42 now.
It's very
So,
reassuring. Good.
you know, putting that on, a school going age person is really, really hard, and that you have to make that decision so early on. But also that it's seen as that's the only route. I think it's very misleading and very small-minded, to be honest.
I agree. So what's it like over there in Ireland?
Oh, we do not do that. Like we have, of course, we've got colleges and universities, and I don't know that I know the difference between both. Um, Maybe it's the administration side of things is maybe a little bit slower. So everyone does exams in the month of June, their final exams for the school year, and the results only come out in late August. And that's when the college points are offered. And then you have to decide within a few weeks. And we call it the CAO points. And the college place and point system is only determined by how many people apply for that course and then what it was last year. So it's a kind of a funny system.
Hmm.
To be fair, like when I was growing up, I used to think like, oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing to go to college in the States? But I think that's because like I like the sweatshirts and then just seeing it in movies. But
Yeah,
it's not like that in real life, I'm assuming.
I don't think so either. I mean, I can't say what it's like directly, but from what I've heard, I don't think you could find that anywhere. So talking about high school and your senior year, if that's how you guys refer to it as, did you have a plan at all for life after high school?
Well, originally, I wanted to study marketing
Okay.
in a college called DIT, which is the Dublin Institute of Technology, and I was 5 points short. One of
Mm,
my friends did get the course, and I was gutted. And you have a choice of 10 um, options that you can apply for. And then other than that, you can't apply then for anything else. So there wasn't anything else on that list that I wanted other than dance and drama in kind of a lesser prestigious college. And so I took that course and I really didn't enjoy it. I mean, I was going there for the first little while and I had done a lot of dance and drama in my past and shows and theater and things like that. And when I went in, I ended up teaching some of the class some dance stuff and I was like, oh, screw this. One of my friends was going to college in Oxford to study nursing. It wasn't Oxford College. It was I know another college in Oxford. And there was an Oxford School of Dance and Drama that was quite prestigious. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to leave this course. I'm going to move over to my friend there, apply for that course, and get a little part-time job whilst I'm there. So I ended up for a while living a student life, but having a full-time job, and it was amazing.
really?
Oh my God, I loved it because I was living the student lifestyle and yet I had an income. So
Yeah.
I was able to, and actually I ended up working in an Oxford college, in a master's college. So I was surrounded by really cool people. I was doing like an administration job, but I loved the people that I was working with. And then I was getting a salary. So I was able to go to all the student parties, go hang out with my friends and still have the essence of student life, but I had money.
Nice.
So that was good. That was really, really good.
Yeah. How does the financial aspect work over there in terms of how expensive are the colleges now? Is it like as crazy as it is over here? The loans and like the scholarship process, do they take care of you more or is it still like you're on your own?
Yeah, it's supposed to be free. It's
Okay.
supposed to be free tuition over here. It's not quite. I think my daughter's college fees last year were about, I think, 6 or 7 thousand euros in and around that,
And your
which is
daughter's a nursing student.
nursing student. So she's in her second year and
That's uncommon over here.
she's in one of the like I think the top two colleges, top three colleges in Ireland. Yeah, so it's pretty phenomenal. Ireland is really, really good. I mean, there still are some fees. They are not in any way anything you compare to the US from my understanding. What I will say is that there's not as I mean, we have beautiful college buildings and all the rest, but I think it's a completely different beast over there. Like even college football teams and like your jerseys and your
Yeah.
logos, there's just not that much of a fanfare over
Okay.
here for that kind of thing. We just don't have the what I would call, and this is going to sound, and I hope it doesn't land as condescending, the kind of exhibitionism of it. It's like you go and you do your program, and yeah, it's really great, like that you go and do that, but we just don't have that parading of
Yeah.
it. Like it's yeah, it's not necessarily about the college, it's more about the course. And, there are still some colleges that are seen to be more favorable than others, but I think that's just a kind of a snobby thing,
Yeah.
there's that kind of, I think that's in every society though, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Does college over there feel like the next step for everyone? Is it the common next step, or are there other options? Because it sounds more accessible than it does over here.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit. Some of the points for colleges make it very inaccessible. Like becoming a teacher, you need to have like a significant high amount of points. There's a little bit of, unless you're really, really academic, it's quite hard to get in. So it can still be quite hard to get in because of the point system. However, there are a lot of courses available. They just might not be the one that you necessarily want to do. Going back to your question though, there are definitely other ways. Like there's a lot of tradesmanships that you can do here. There's a lot of PLC courses that you can do, which would be kind of segues into college that you might do a couple of years in a PLC, and then there's a segue into that college course
Okay.
that you can do. So yeah, there are alternative ways. I think it is more acceptable in Ireland that you don't necessarily have to go to college afterwards. There's probably an unsaid expectations that you might, but I don't think it's as forced upon. Maybe,
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
If your kid or if, some young adult that you knew like decided I don't want to go to college, how would the society or how would their family and close circle respond to that? Is it more of like, okay, you're fine, or is it like, what do you mean you don't want to go?
I think there's probably a bit of both, and I think it probably depends on the family. I'll speak as a parent of a child that is going to college now. I did want her to go to college, and I'll tell you why. It's because of my experience in trying to get jobs when I was younger.
Okay.
I'd go or I'd see a job that I really wanted. And most of the time, any of those jobs that I went to, it was like, you have to have a degree. And it's like, oh. And I knew other people that were working there and not being funny. There was no problem in me being able to do the job and be successful at it. And it was just that barrier to entry that was really frustrating. So I think I wanted that for her so that she didn't have that. In hindsight, looking at the jobs that I've done and I'm doing, I wouldn't have wanted those jobs now looking back anyway.
Mm.
So it's interesting. And it depends what you're measuring your success on, because people will have different measurements of it. Mine is being able to have a lifestyle and have freedom to be able to travel. It's also being able to bring an income, and it's also being able to help people. I would say I'm earning more than the majority of all of my friends.
Wow. What were some of the influencing factors to your decision to go to college in the first place? Because, I mean, you didn't end up fulfilling it.
Okay, this is going to sound really terrible. One, I wanted to be able to say, I'm going to college. Two,
Yeah.
I wanted the parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
And three, I did want like that good base salary and a really good job and the perks and working for a multinational firm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted. That's what I thought I wanted, that lifestyle. And then it was like, okay, well, that's not going to be for me. And then I think when I started working, it was like, I like this. I like earning the money. I like, being able to go out and do my thing. But there was an international TV station that was looking for budding entrepreneurs who wanted to create 1 million in a year. And myself and my friend, I got through 4,000 people and I did the TV program. So I went to manufacturers and found a way to make almost organic body washes and shampoos because my daughter had eczema and my friend's son had eczema too. Well, there's a part that I left out. I got pregnant in between this when I was in Oxford. And I then had a 6-month-old, and then it was like, okay, well, this whole thing kind of has blown up my career. Now I'm a mom and I really need to get a good job and provide, so that the parameters changed a little bit. And then I saw this opportunity to, go and do this program. So I moved myself and my 6-month-old daughter at the time to London to set up this company, and on the cusp of signing a 13.4 million pound deal with like a UK version of Walmart.
Mhm.
My friend and my millionaire mentor kicked me out of the business because I couldn't dedicate enough time. It's because I was a mom, basically, and
Wow.
I wasn't willing to leave my daughter at home. So I had this weird, access to what was possible at quite a young age. So I was so inspired, but then I was so kicked to the curb that my confidence took such a knock. So I came back to Ireland and, I ended up getting a job opening up Jimmy Choo in Ireland.
Mhm.
I mean, I was doing amazing. I worked my way up and I had a really, really great career, but I always had this gnawing ambition to get back to running my own business again. But because I'd had the experience, a negative experience in a lot of ways, when I was 23, I just always had this fear. And it wasn't until my health took a major knock with being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis after the birth of my second daughter that I thought, oh my goodness, I just can't run away from this anymore. I need to look after my health. I need to look after me and let go of that past trauma and that kind of hurt and anger.
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, I reversed MS and all of my symptoms. And when people started finding out what I had done, they kept ringing. I don't know how they even got my details, but they'd call me and say, I heard you have a cure for MS. And I'd be like, I don't have a cure, but I'll tell you what I did in the hope that it might help you. And it's now turned into, a fast approaching 7-figure business.
Incredible. Do you regret not getting that degree with everything you've just said and how successful you've already been?
Hell no.
No. Okay.
If I had have taken that degree, what would have happened was I wouldn't have had that experience of setting up my business. I probably wouldn't have had my daughter. I just wouldn't have had that exposure at such a young age to what was possible. Now, who knows what might have happened? I could have gotten my Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job and been quite happy with that, but I don't know that that's for me.
Yeah.
Um, don't get me wrong. There was parts of my life where I absolutely struggled, but I look at, I think I'm the only one out of my friends that doesn't have a degree. No, I think one of two that doesn't. And all of my friends are struggling in their jobs.
Hmm.
And some of them are absolutely miserable. And
Really?
so it's like, well, not all of them, by the way, but they're really, really struggling. They don't have the freedom that I would have. They
Yeah.
don't have the ability to earn more money that I have, by working a little bit harder. That is just a capped job. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, that is perfect. And a lot of them are really, really happy and it's fine. And that's
Yeah.
brilliant. If that's what makes you happy, that's great. I mean, my partner is a civil servant, like he's a police officer, detective. And he's like happy out. He's like really happy with his lot. So we've like very different values on that stuff. And that's perfect. It's
Yeah.
it's it has to be what makes each individual happy. I've always had ambition. I've always wanted to like make a difference or help people. Like I will always seek out the person that needs a bit of support and help. And even in my jobs throughout the years, like managing Jimmy Choo, managing multi-million-pound businesses and a finance tech company, it wasn't necessarily the product that I was passionate about. It was the people and helping the people find their joy within their life and within their job and being able to then spread that around them. And so I knew that having come through the experience that I did with my health and also the experience in the business side of things, it was like, okay, I'm going to do this differently. Like I really want to make a difference in the world and I want to earn lots of money as well, so box ticked.
Now, you're currently passionate about helping people take charge of their health and wellness. So, looking at the decision for life after high school through that lens, if a high schooler came to you not knowing what they wanted to do after graduation, what would you tell them?
Oh, that's a great question. I've had, you know, kids, my daughters out, they're not kids, young adults around my daughters out saying, "Oh, I want to go to college, but don't know what I want to do." If someone is in that position, they want to do it, I'd say go do an arts degree or go find something that you are absolutely loving, even if it is something like some crazy subject. Go and enjoy what you're learning because, sometimes think, "Oh, you have to go and study this because that'll make good money." If you follow your passion and find the who of who is doing it well and earning a living from it, there is a way. There's always a way, and I do believe that anything is possible. But I think if someone isn't sure, I mean, take a couple of years out, take a year out, go traveling, go find what makes you happy, or if you wanted to apply for a course and put it on hold and then do it that way, if that's something that gives you a little bit of sturdiness. My biggest thing is going and getting experience though in real world. Like if there's a career that you really want, go work in that. Go find and ask for um, work experience, or go work for free in it to get a taster of it. I think that's one of the most important things that you can do, because, say some of my friends wanted to study law, and then when they went into it, it's like, all I do is paperwork and I hate it. And if they had known that beforehand, I'm not sure that they would have went into that industry.
Right.
We have this idea sometimes of what life is like, and then what the reality of it actually is, and it can be worlds apart. And sometimes it can be absolutely exactly what you've been looking for, and that's awesome. But you can always go and try these things out. There's something that we do in high school over here, which is in a year called transition year, which is, it's not obligatory. You can choose it or not, but there's kind of
Okay.
alternative subjects in it. And it's where you go and do 2 stints of work experience in whatever companies you choose, if they'll
What?
take you. So you do 2 weeks in one and 2 weeks in another, and it's super, super. At one point, my daughter wanted to be a hairdresser. And I was thinking, oh God, that's a really hard job. You're going to be standing on your feet all day. But she was like adamant, no, I want to go do it. She went and did 2 weeks in a hairdresser, and she was like, I will never do that. It was so hard. And I'm
That's it
like,
though. You have to try it out. Otherwise, you're gonna get down the line and you're gonna be like, either you love it or you absolutely hate it. And it could have been a waste of time.
yeah. Well, look, when my daughter was going to study nursing, I tried to put her off. I was like, are you crazy? She's like, no, I really want to do it. I'm like, oh my God, all in. And don't get me wrong, she's amazing already. She's like such an empathetic, gorgeous human.
Yeah.
And I know the world needs more of them, but I just think, oh my goodness. And you don't have to stay, of course, in that either. So I'm like, okay, go do it. And when she started, she was like, oh my God, I hate it. I'm like, okay, but you've chosen it. If you're going to make the decision to leave, that's fine, but only make the decision when things are going well. Then you can make a balanced decision. Do not leave when something is hard or when it's not going well, because it's not a balanced, practical or critical thinking decision then, and you could regret that then afterwards. So, yeah, I would kind of say that about everything.
I really like that
Yeah.
one. What was the postpartum stage like in Ireland in terms of maternity leave and the effect that having kids has on your career?
Oh goodness, I've probably got quite a few things to say on this. Maternity leave here is really great. There's like 6-month paid maternity leave. When I say paid, it's like a couple of €100 a week from the state, which is amazing. Companies have the choice or not whether to top that up to make up your salary. There's some companies that do, but there's quite a lot that don't, which is really shitty. Like my company didn't. I think women have it really, really hard. I think it is extremely unfair. So say you're in a couple or you're married or not, whatever it looks like, it is kind of societal expectation that the woman stays home. And of course, most of the time the woman will want to stay home, of course, after maternity leave, and that's great. But then it's very common over here that the woman doesn't go back to work, and that they, survive on the man's salary, even if they're on a similar salary. But a lot of the time, childcare here is so expensive. I don't know what it's like in the US. It is so expensive here that a lot of the time it will be maybe only a few €100 and the difference left over after, say, for example, what it's benchmarked on most of the time is the woman's salary. Now, here's what I see, and I've experienced this personally, and I've also seen it in so many other places where women don't go back to work. There is such a mental and emotional effect on the woman because their identity is then not there. From a financial point of view, they are then putting their hand out. So that financial independence and confidence is gone. I see it over and over again. And then all of a sudden, you could be a really, experienced person who, was contributing to whatever company or place that they worked with. And then they're at home with kids, possibly not with very many people around. They're juggling being a mom, being a partner, being, anything and everything. And their day doesn't stop. They don't get holidays. They don't get paid. Oh, if anybody ever says to me, should they give up their job after having kids? I'm like, hell no.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe go part-time if you wanted to, but do not give up your financial independence if at all possible.
Okay, I'm making note of that. As a keynote speaker, is there any advice that you could provide young adults to allow them to feel more compelled and confident to share their story and use it to navigate life after high school?
Oh, beautiful question. Yes. And it's actually a talk that I give, and it's about embracing your uniqueness. Let me give you an example of this. I was in giving a talk to a corporate company, and I was talking about a talk that I gave, talking about embracing your uniqueness. So does anybody here have anything, that they want to share that maybe people wouldn't know about them? And the owner and the MD of the company said, well, I have some uniqueness that other people might find a little bit weird. And it's that I absolutely love fern trees and I collect them. And I thought, oh my God, that's so cute. Anytime I see a fern now, I think of him and I send him a little text or shoot him a little thing. Anyway, we ended up having this gorgeous conversation and people then were sharing all these things. I think a lot of the time we try to conform to be like others because we want to fit into society and we don't want to stand out in case we get, teased or in case we're different. But that is your superpower. That is
Yeah.
absolutely your superpower. It used to be the thing that I never wanted to share with anyone. Like I got some really shitty advice off a friend of mine when I was diagnosed with MS first. And when I wanted to go back and get a job, and she's like, delete your social media profile. You shouldn't let them know that, you had a diagnosis, all this type of stuff. And actually, that probably set me back quite a while. Now I literally have a business out of embracing my uniqueness and probably the thing that I was scared of talking about the most because I'm speaking into how other people feel and where their desires and where their maybe bit of fear of speaking about something really resonates with someone. So my advice would be is to really own and embrace your uniqueness and don't be afraid to shine the light on that.
And then are there certain things that we should be doing at 16, 17, 18, 19 to make us look more credible as we enter the professional world?
Definitely have some kind of part-time job or where you're earning something and save a little bit of money. On the side of that, if there's something that you really want to do, go and ask for a mini internship in that type of company. If I saw something like that, I would be so impressed.
Okay.
Like so impressed and get a reference from whoever that is, even if it's like a parents, friends company that, does something similar, go and ask if you can work there for free for a couple of weeks. Work your tail off. Find the who and not the how. Find someone who's doing exactly what you want to do. Ask them if you can chat to them. Even go and find out on LinkedIn. I want to come and work for free. I really want to learn how to do this and get a reference off them. That is going to be the most enticing thing. Don't be
Okay.
afraid to ask the question because you know what? Most people are happy to learn. I had someone come and stay in my home for 3 weeks because they wanted to learn how to do, online companies and running them and administration. And I did it for free because I thought, oh my God, how cool is it that they want to learn, that they want to do that? So good people will be happy to, have someone shadow them and teach them.
If we could move your exact situation from senior year, but instead you were graduating in 2024, would you still have taken the path you did? What do you think you would do now?
Yes, I would have done exactly the same,
Okay.
but spoken up for myself more and not questioned my own thoughts or belief or opinion and just went for it. Yeah, that's the only thing I would change a little bit different.
I was just telling, I was talking to a high school, someone who's currently in high school, and I was like, if I just had the confidence that I have now from being a few, I don't know, 1 or 2 years out of that environment to just understand who I am and just gain a little bit of that confidence working around people. If I could have that in senior year, I would have been unstoppable, I feel like. And I'm even still like, I need to be more confident now. But that's a great point. So, what mistakes do you see young people making?
I think there's a difference between confidence and kind of arrogance. And I think being humble, be graceful enough to accept that you may not know everything and be hungry enough to ask to learn. So it's okay not to know. You don't have to look like you know everything. It's okay not to know, but it's not okay to sit there and not learn if it's something that you should know. So be humble enough to say, hey, I don't know that, but I really want to learn. I think that is the absolute key. So don't pretend you know something if you don't. Ask it and be okay about not knowing. I think that's such a key thing to say. And it's very endearing if somebody hears that because people will want to teach, people will want to share and help because everybody's been at that point that is the thing that's had me, and that's just about to take my business to a whole other level.
Congratulations.
Thank
Something
you.
about you when we saw each other in person. You are so real and yourself, and I love your personality.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a mess and I'm not afraid to say it out loud. And I think, like I just very normal and very human and don't pretend really to be anything else.
So if you are listening and you have no connections to anyone in Europe, now you do. Support Karen on social media. Where can they follow you and what are you working on?
Sure. So Instagram, I am Karen Dwyer. Same on Facebook, same on LinkedIn. If anybody is dealing with a diagnosis of a chronic illness or multiple sclerosis, we have a free masterclass at www.mstsuccess.com. And what I'm working on at the moment is rebranding a podcast for next year. And we have some very, very exciting things happening next season. So very excited about those.
Share your thoughts and graduation decisions with us. Those are her social medias. Mine are Decision Day Podcast and at Leah Leverage. And we hope that this was impactful for you. You could share it with friends or other high school students. Thank you for listening. I can't wait to share a new perspective with you in the next episode. And thank you, Karen, for being here and sharing your experience.
Oh, absolute joy and pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Decision Day podcast. If you know a student in high school, ask them to listen or share an episode with them. And as always, we love hearing from you. Share your stories with us on social, Decision Day Podcast. Until next week. Decision Day Podcast is sponsored by the Rise and Record event, Nashville, Tennessee. RiseandRecord.com for more info.